Thank you so much, Ansel, for the invite. I would also like to thank Dr. Tenga for extending this invitation and the entire APN network as well. Honestly, it is very humbling and such an honor to be before everyone today. My name is Edith Jagge. I am a social and serial entrepreneur based here in Nairobi, Kenya. I began my social entrepreneurship journey at 18. I know a woman is never supposed to say her age, but I'm 26 now. So I've been a social entrepreneur for about 8 years. And in that time, my various ventures have gone on to create more than 50,000 jobs for young people, along with presence in 12 African markets. And the sole focus for me as an entrepreneur has always been making sure that young people have access to opportunities, have access to entrepreneurship, access to global resources, access to opportunities for growth, and access to the mentorship that they need. The reality and what a lot of us do not mention about being an entrepreneur, and especially a young African entrepreneur, is that the support is lacking. And that is the reality. And that's why I love what I do as CEO of Area for Africa, co-founder of African Wealth Oasis, Africa Regional Director for the Alpha Group, and Director of Job Creation Limited. So for me as a social entrepreneur, really what I want to give to you today, basically, is make sure that you know the only limits that exist for you as a young person, they lie here. Nowhere else. They simply lie here. It's all in your mind. And at the end of the day, once you've overcome your mind, then you have overcome the challenges that face you. That's a brief introduction on me. I'm also an author, a podcaster, but overall just a young person really trying to do her part for this continent. When it comes to the African context, what I want you to understand is if you're to line up all the entrepreneurs globally, right? Assuming they tell all of us, get into a line, we're going to count you today. If they line us all up globally, the truth is most entrepreneurs are here in the African continent. So although most of us here in Africa are entrepreneurs, the reality is we still have a lot of the most problems when it comes to pollution, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to poverty, when it comes to different economies and different households not being able to sustain themselves. So I asked myself the question, and I want you to ask yourself this question. If we have the most number of entrepreneurs and the most amount of businesses registered or even working in the informal sector, if we have the most globally, why is it that we still have the most issues? And it's easy to blame governments. It's easy to blame colonization. I've sang these songs myself. The reality is, however, the key reason why things are the way that they are, despite the numerous number of business owners, is simple. We have profit-focused businesses, not impact-focused businesses. Now, what do I mean by this? When you speak to a business owner, and this is the difference between business owners and entrepreneurs. A lot of us, we throw that word entrepreneurship very lightly without understanding the responsibility that goes with it. When you're an entrepreneur, you are a job creator. You are an engine for growth. You are an engine for impact. When you're a business owner, you get into it so that you're able to make the 10% margin, the 5% margin. You're basically able to walk away with your profits. So what I want us to understand is that Africa can no longer continue to thrive unless we get away from the mindset of profit-focused business. What do I mean? Social entrepreneurship is basically the sweet spot. And I learned this while doing one of my many masters. I think they should have told me early on to stop doing masters. I've done too many. But while doing one of my many masters, one of the key things that stuck out for me was that when it comes to entrepreneurship, someone's microphone. Samuel, I think there we go. When it comes to social entrepreneurship, it is the perfect middle sweet spot. What does this mean? It means you're not a full-blown charity, but you're not purely a profit-generating business. And this is where philanthropy for young people can be found. where it is realistic, that you build a social enterprise business model. What does this mean? You can still make money. Okay, I'm not telling you you're supposed to be poor. Edith does not sell that. You can still make money, but then when you're making your revenues, you should be building your communities. You should be creating sustainable revenue generating ways of solving your community's biggest problems. And once we step into this, young people, that's when we step into not only the solutions for the Africa that we need and we want, but that's when we step into greater wealth, not just for you as a person. Africans, we bought this lie. I think it was sold to us during colonization because we're very people-oriented groups. But when we were colonized, we were taught this capitalism mindset that leaves out building communities, where if I gain, you have to lose. But I don't believe in that. I believe that if I gain and you gain and someone else gains, in general, our gain is a lot more than if I gained by myself. So what I want to explain to you is that not only do we need to be building businesses, because we're doing that. We have a lot of businesses. We got that point, tick. Now we need to be building sustainably. By this, what do I mean? Ask yourself, if you were to die today, would your business live on? If come tomorrow, you're no longer here, would people still be singing about the impact that you made? If you were gone, would everything keep on running like nothing happened, like nothing went wrong? And that then comes to the question of philanthropy and legacy, because you cannot have one without the other. And that's the reality. That's what they don't tell you. So I want you to understand that even as you build sustainable business, here's the first step. We all identify problems every single day. And this is how I started my social entrepreneurship journey. I noticed that there was a problem around unemployment in my country. I started within my country, right? And I noticed there's a big gap here. There's a big problem. And when I went to other markets within the EAC region, went to Ethiopia, went to Somalia, I said, what? This is worse than my country. And I said, okay, I've identified this problem. But rather than being like all the other Africans who identify a problem and then sit back, I decided to do something. And since that day, I've been building business models that satisfy to create jobs for young people. So here is my thing or question or challenge for you today. When you identify a problem, here in Africa, in Kenya, we say serikali saidia. In Swahili, okay? In English, this means government help us. So we say a lot of serikali saidia, but the reality is it's no longer for governments. Governments can no longer be the solution to the African problem, because here's the other fact. We're 75%, me and you, those of us under 35, we're about 75% of the population in this continent. Yet you expect the government that's made up of 60 plus in years to solve the problem. No, they cannot solve a problem for people that they are not. They cannot solve for people that they don't even understand. So we need to solve our own problems. And it starts with number one, when you identify, you solve. Number two, mentorship. And what does this mean? I don't just mean going to look for a mentor. I mean mentoring. Okay, our problem is that everyone is looking for a mentor, but not everyone is mentoring. So we have an imbalance in the skills. And I started mentoring young people from the moment I was 17, 18. So there's nothing that can prevent you, because the reality is there's someone younger than you that needs to know what you currently know. So mentorship within philanthropy and within building a legacy is the way forward. As you build your business, like I asked, would you need to be there for the business to survive? If the answer is yes, there's a problem. You need to learn how to build people so that you can hand over to people. And that's the problem. We have people sitting in governments that haven't built the next generation, so they have no one to hand over to. So don't repeat the mistakes of our predecessors. In your business setting, in your founder setting, in your corporate setting, who can you pick up and mentor? Even as you're rising up to the top, can you send the elevator down? Even as a young person, don't wait to get to 50 to start mentoring. Start today. That's our problem. Number three, living beyond you. Your business must live beyond you. Your goal in life must live beyond you. Your legacy must live beyond you. We need to build long term. So it means even when you're not here, and that's what I keep saying, and I know young people, we assume will be here until our 80s, but the reality is life happens. And even if life doesn't happen, can you start building a legacy that you can enjoy even while you're still here? Now, when it comes to philanthropy, I want you to know this. Philanthropy must be, okay, and if you forget everything I said, remember this. Philanthropy must be an everyday and an everyone approach. What do I mean? It must be in your everyday and it must be for everyone. We all have a part to play. I'm not telling everyone to go and build nonprofits. Philanthropy looks different. Giving looks different. Building looks different for each one of us. But in what you're doing, how does it build your community? How can you see the SDG goals being ticked? How can you sit back and one day have someone come and say, I would not be alive if not for this person? So your philanthropy must be an everyday. When you wake up, how do I build Africa? That's what wakes me up in the morning. When you wake up, how do you build Africa every single morning? How do I make this continent the star that she should be? How do I make her the limelight that she should be? How do I put her at the center stage, which is where she should have been all along? You must make all these things a reality today and start today. That's why I'm here, to let you know that purpose and philanthropy, they go hand in hand. Now, I know a lot of you, when you hear the word purpose, you think it's this big word. And I know we've overly complicated it. But the reality is your purpose is very simple. It's the reason for which you exist, your raison d'etre, depending on where you're coming from. Why are you on this planet? Why are you on this earth? That is your purpose. So as soon as you discover what that is and you pair that with something that makes a difference in your community, you are a philanthropist. It's as simple as that. I will not even complicate it for you. It's that simple. And I recently wrote about this in my book, which was recently published, In the Fullness of Purpose, for getting young people to understand how to not only find, but be rooted and build a legacy in their purpose. Because those are the sort of Africans we need to rebuild this continent. We don't need profit-focused Africans. We need impact, purpose, philanthropy-focused young people to rebuild this continent. Now, because of COVID-19, there's a bigger funding gap than ever. What do I mean? Previously, the funding gap, I believe in 2015, was around $30 billion. Small number like that. Right now, it's a $200 billion for developing markets. So what does this mean? It means that there's a big gap that needs to be satisfied. But rather than sitting down and waiting for grants, can I shock you? When you build a social enterprise model, you will never need a grant. That's what they don't tell you. When you build a social enterprise model that is sustainable, that is impact focused, that is able to generate revenues, you never have to go to the white man to ask for money. You will be okay from day one. And that's what Africa needs. We need to start solving our own problems and building our own solutions so that we build wealth, so that next time when someone says they're starting XYZ, we're able to say, it's fine, I'll give you the money. And that's what I want. I want wealth for young Africans. I want wealth for women. I want wealth for underserved groups. But it cannot happen unless we begin with the mind. There must be a shift in the mindset. So what next? Even as we're building sustainably, I want you all to remember this from me, okay? You are the change you have been waiting for. I am the change I have been waiting for. We are the change we have been waiting for. We can no longer wait for development partners, no longer wait for governments, no longer wait for NGOs, no longer wait for nonprofits. Young people, we are the change that we have been waiting for. And the second you realize that, you get up like never before. The second you realize that you are the solution that you have been waiting for, there's no more sitting back saying there's no money. You know, Africans were very good at excuses. I don't have the money to start. I don't have the time to start. I need to get a job. I need to do 1, 2, 3. There are all of these different reasons that you convince yourself is reason for you not to begin that thing that has been in your head and that thing that has been on your heart. But I want to tell you today, you are the change you have been waiting for. So if that change doesn't happen, you are the one I will blame. It's that simple. If that change doesn't happen in my sector, I am the one to blame. The second we realize that, then we get our power back. And what we need are young people who understand that 75% means that we are the majority, means that we are the power, means that we are the change, and we have to step into the mindset to be the change. No more waiting. We have been patient for long enough. No more waiting. Thank you very much.